How's it going, ladies and bruises? I'm Bobby Sixkilla. Welcome back to the Divine Interception. We're jumping straight back into Locke's story because we have a bronze key to unlock this one. In fact, fact of the matter is, it's the only kind of key we have. We've been desperately waiting for a silver key or a gold key to unlock some of these, but... Oh, we've done that one. What was this one? Bells, yeah. Gold key there, silver key there, and now we've got a silver key here as well. Lots we're waiting on, not much happening. Let's jump in, shall we? Cut anywhere you like. Let's fleece some more people out of their money, shall we? Another night, another hunt at Nahoi's nest. Only this time I had moved on to bigger and better targets. Well, maybe bigger and better was wrong wording for it. But it was definitely the next step. Once again I found myself nursing a drink by the bar. Who could blame me? The bar had a good view of the whole area, so it was pretty ideal for staking out like this. There had been a few nights of stalking, and I was yet to encounter my prey. And even though this was a relatively short amount of time, I was beginning to worry if, for whatever reason, they decided to stop coming around here. They'd have incentive to. If they didn't show up, I'd have to come up with another plan, and I doubted that I'd be able to come up with anything better than I'd already had. Luckily for me, my luck would finally come around tonight. Over by the roulette wheel, Polly Deismer looked like he was in a good mood tonight. Fantastic. If you were looking for a dumb, rich, rude, Polly Deismer was pretty much the best you were going to get in Panthea. I finished up my drink and began to leave from my seat. Back to your usual tricks? Suddenly Ossa spoke up. It was odd of him to start a conversation. Just looking to have some fun in your establishment, Ossa? You should be happy with it. I don't think I approve of your little stunt you pulled with Buck. I don't care if you ended up letting him off the hook. The practice was messed up in the first place. You didn't care enough to say anything about it, Buck, though. Ossa didn't respond. Instead, he kept looking at me with a hard expression. I didn't waver, and held his gaze. You know the thing about luck, it runs out. That's why I make my own, Ossa. The way you're operating, when your luck runs out, it isn't going to be pretty. Thanks for the tip, Ossa, I'll take it to heart. I just hope whatever you're getting out of all this is worth it. And like that, he turned his attention away from me. What was his deal? You're seriously going to try and lecture me? Wild. Luck only ran out for people who actually left their fate in Chance's hands. I was smarter than every schlub who walked into these doors. No chance in hell I'd end up like them. Anyway, I picked up the suitcase sitting by my side and made my way over to the roulette table. Luckily, the player to Polly's right was on a particularly bad run of bets and had just left the table in a shameful defeat. I plopped down right next to Polly and began to make some token bets. I played the first round standardly and groaned when I lost. Next I bet identically to Polly. He was going to go hard on the first third, so was I. When the ball landed on 4, I made sure to match Polly's level of celebration, whooping and hollering. That's what I'm talking about. Hell yeah, baby, hell yeah! What can I say? First third never fails. The first third never fails. It lands more frequently than anywhere else, I'm telling you. Well, thanks for the advice. I only bet that way because I was following your lead. Really? Yeah, figured you seemed to know what you were doing. Guess you had good instincts at roulette, so I had good instincts on gamblers. Ha! Oh, you're welcome. Glad to have helped. Polly held out his hand. What's your name? Locke. And yours? Polly. Polly. Wait, like Polly Deismer? He sighed a bit, perhaps somewhat hoping I wouldn't bring up his real identity. Guilty as charged. Whoa. Didn't know I was in the presence of royalty. Oh, fuck off. Am I wrong? Look, man, I'm just, like, a dude. Fucking hate getting treated differently because of my last name. I feel that. You know your family's a bunch of assholes, right? Ha! You're telling me. I'm the one who has to live with them. Well, I think I have a bit too much hate, and they get a bit too much hate in the public eye. They're not like bad people or anything. Just got mixed the wrong way around. Oh, money will do that to you. You would know? This fell into a small fortune. No kidding. Dead relative. We weren't very close, but they weren't very close with anybody. Hey, you don't say. Well, hey, congratulations. No, there's nothing to congratulate here. I was doing fine before this. I haven't got a high-end job, and I'm happy enough without it. Not many people casually brush off a small fortune. Disregarding it seems a little privileged, I think. Really? You're gonna tell me about privilege? Alright, glass houses and all, that's very fair. So what are you looking to do with all that cash? Honestly? Just looking to have some fun with it. And as a habitual gambling junkie, that means gambling it away until it's either gone, or I have more money than I know what to do with. Fair enough, I guess. If you're already well off, there's no real point hoarding your wealth. Only problem is, how to really gamble it? To be honest, roulette wheels and blackjack tables don't feel like real gambling. I can see that. They're good to kill time, but as a real gamble, they're a little flaccid. I don't like that word. I like to be big in a personalised gamble. Only problem is, I held up my suitcase and slapped the side of it. There's 500 white caps of cash in this thing, and there's not exactly a line of people with the capital to match a bet like that. No kidding. Even to a prodigal son like Polly, this amount made him double take a little bit with surprise. He couldn't believe I'd casually bring this amount to a place like this. And just as well he shouldn't. The suitcase was mostly filled with phonies. I lined the top with legit cash for inspections and the like. Man, generally speaking, it was stuffed to the brim with low-rate counterfeit, the type you get for a lot of for cheap. Just like everything else about this approach, it was a setup. I already had the perfect rigged gamble in my back pocket. It was just a matter of leading Polly to the bait. I'd take him for all he was worth and get a bunch of cash. Well, a reasonable amount of cash. Enough to work as a stepping stone for the next phase of the plan. Mind if I take a look in that suitcase? Good, he was buying in. Be my guest. I held it up and Polly opened the suitcase. He looked over it and was quickly impressed. For someone like Polly, I bet only placing real bills on the very top and stuffing the rest of the printing paper would work. So you're looking to just gamble that all away? Yep. As he drew back, I closed the suitcase and put it back to my side. Well, I mean, if you're looking for a high roller to play against, I could do it. Really? Yeah, I mean, I'm not Art or Odin or anything, so that sum isn't something I can just sneeze at. I'm just as likely to win it as I am to lose that amount. Not with that attitude, you're not. In his slightly inebriated state, Polly almost fell right off his seat. He was taken completely unawares. Well, I couldn't blame him. I didn't notice the old man sneaking up on us until he spoke. He always fucking does that, sneaking up on people, the fucking old bastard. Standing right next to me, Odin Deismer. Gotta be honest, this was a curveball. Odin, what are you doing here? If my son is going to be wasting so many days in an underground pit, I figured it was worth seeing just how pitiful the pit is. As expected, the pit is fittingly pitiful. A pit full of pity. Odin spoke in a pleasant tone, clearly pleased himself with his attempts at wordplay. Sounds like you're doing a fucking tongue twister. This did not settle Polly's nerves. Like, it's really not that bad. Oh? Is that right? Polly just gulped. What a waste. What a waste. I already knew of your proclivity for being useless, but it is still disgraceful to witness firsthand. Roulette? You're betting on roulette? Suddenly, Odin reached forward and began yanking on Polly's hair. Letting your fortune be dictated by a spinning metal ball is fitting for the most worthless, beggars and fools. They claim fortune by dominating over another, with wits is one thing, but this madness, this mindless addiction is truly as worthless as you. Get off me! Besides, weren't you the one going on about how we've got luck in our blood or something, old man? As ever, you fail to comprehend the most basic of concepts. The fortune of the Deismers is not given to those who fail to grasp fortune for themselves. A feckless idiot like yourself could never truly make the most of your blood. Of all my children, you are the greatest disappointment. You've potential, but the ambition and demeanour of a common whore. Useless to the company, useless to the press, useless in gambling, useless in life. Granting you the same flaw as Art was a mistake. He actually made good on his potential and knew how to follow in the Deismer way, and here you are, ready to be conned into giving away more what is by all rights mine. Odin let that last statement linger. Polly just stood there, anger on his face, but unable to vocalise anything. Finally, Odin sighed and then pointed to the stairs. Get out before you further disgrace the Deismer legacy. You don't get to tell me what to do. You may own everyone else, but you don't own me. Despite saying that, Polly began to storm away in the direction of the exit. And just like that, my golden goose had wandered away. Just my fucking luck. Finally, the moment I got the whale on the hook, the old coot had to come in and completely wreck shop. God fucking damn it. I assume that was because he had completely failed to address me. Odin had no intention of interacting with me. However, with Polly exiting, the man now turned to me. And now that leaves the two of us. Sorry, didn't want to get in the middle of all that. Seemed like some family drama. You think me harsh? A little, yeah. Good. Maybe that'll make one of my lessons finally drill into that thick skull of his. Well, we're no longer talking about that failure. We're discussing you. You say you fell into a good deal of a fortune recently. Seriously? How long has this guy been listening in? Yeah, pretty much. I see. Apologies for the passing of your relative. Oh well, we weren't incredibly close or anything. I would think anybody who leaves you that sum of money is someone who matters to you, retroactively or not. I suppose. Not like I care that much about the money though. Oh, I think you do. Excuse me? You weren't attempting to rid yourself of the cash just now. You were hoping to double it by scamming my foolish son, now weren't you? What? No, I like that. Huh? Looking for a target? You couldn't find anyone more suited to be duped than that lumbering waste of my sperm. To seek him out takes tenacity. To put your fortune on the line, guts. It's good to know that there are still young people with the drive to take fortune into their own hands like that. I respect those with such will. Thanks. I've taken an interest in you. Oh? It isn't a rare occurrence. I often have the whim to closer inspect those with potential. Those like yourself. If you'd like, I'd much enjoy testing you to see how much true worth you truly possess. What? Excuse me? You wish to grasp fortune with your own two hands? Well, I look favourably upon those who are willing to follow through with such ambition. Why, I had not acted exactly in that way in my youth. Had I not acted exactly in that way in my youth, the Limpo would certainly not be the titan that it is now. I've taken away your gambling partner. Then, shall I substitute in? If that idiot Polly lost a small fortune, bluster as he might, it would actually quite hurt him dearly. And as much as that might be warranted, there's no need for such harsh discipline yet. However, I have more wealth than I know what to do with. At this point in my life, throwing a chunk of it away to witness your true potential? This should keep me entertained for the night. I bit my tongue. What should I do? On the one hand, this is completely uncharted grounds. I had not predicted the Odin factor whatsoever, and I didn't exactly have the capital to pay my debts if I lost. However, the fact of the matter is, if I wanted to move forwards, I need to get my hands on a serious amount of cash, more than what I had on me. Without it, Buck's campaign would be dead in the water, and so to whatever I hope to do with it. The Poly option had pretty much been completely wiped away. Without that on the table, I didn't have any other easy options for easy funding. Grasp a hold of your fortune with your own two hands, huh? You know, as fucked up as this old man was, I can see where he's coming from. Making the most of the opportunities presented was the way you get ahead in life. The only way out is through. And if this was the way through, then I just have to go for it. You're wrong. You're saying if I prove my value, I'll get your cash. Then by all means, I'm up to a challenge. Odin let out a hearty laugh. With a mere moment's consideration, you'll charge forwards. Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Now, is this unerring confidence, or a fool's rashness? Truth lies with the victor. Let us determine it. If I understand this place's system properly, there is a more dignified location to duel. You'd probably be looking for the VIP private room, but that's excellent. Without another word, Odin turned from me and went over to Ossa. The two had a brief exchange which seemingly caught Ossa off guard. Ossa in turn called over and talked to a nearby staff member who he'd positioned to working the bar. Then he led Odin over to the other side of the room. Sheepishly, I followed the two. Ossa took out a pair of keys and unlocked a door. Then we entered the VIP private room. It looked like the most private rooms, although in here, the lighting was still fucked up. Good for me. Before you begin, let me say perfectly clear what my role in all this is. I abandoned my role at the bar because for a gamble with stakes this high? Ossa looked over to Odin. Frankly, any gamble with Odin Deismer involved, I feel the need to oversee personally. Oh, Ossa, how you flatter me. I'm not going to take sides. I'm not going to take judgment. I'm simply here to observe and moderate. Let me be clear. Ossa was looking more at me than he was at Odin. If I see any cheating, any rule breaks, I see anyone trying to weasel out of paying what they're owed, there's going to be some consequences. Serious consequences. Ossa looked back over to Odin. This goes for both of you. Mr. Deismer, I know you're a big shot and all, but from day one of my mission statement with Nahoi's Nest was a place of true fairness. I wouldn't have it any other way. Odin's smug grin was really irritating, but I had to keep my head on straight. The gamble hadn't even started, I couldn't let him psych me out. Ossa made it clear. Sleight of hand tricks were too risky here. The only thing I could count on was my skill. The gamble would begin when both players agreed to a clearly specified set of rules. Once the rules are laid, they are final. So be sure to get any clarifications you want out of the way. Sounds good to me. I assume if you're bringing me in here, Odin, you've got an idea of what you want to play. Naturally. Odin reached into his pockets and took out a special set of cards. There were only 13 of them, and they had constellations on the back. You just happen to bring these? We'll play with these. Mind if I check these out? Make sure they're not gimmicked? Be my guest. I reached over and started inspecting the cards. Meanwhile, Odin continued his explanation. The game that we'll be playing is a custom creation of mine. I believe it is the best way to get to know someone. If I care enough about a person, I'll often trade standard introductions for a round of this game. So you're saying you played this game a lot before? Doesn't that put me at a pretty severe disadvantage? Having me as your opponent in any context would be a severe disadvantage. Relax, this game's easy to pick up. It isn't like chess or mahjong where rote memorization is necessary. A child could teach the highest level of play in mere minutes if they possess the mind for it. Besides, I'm the one offering you a chance to rise above your station. It's natural that you'd be on the back foot. I guess. So then, people are born with a certain lot in life. Either they are a ruler, or they are a dreamer. In most cases, a ruler shall walk as the ruler and the dreamer shall walk as the dreamer, but there is the rarest of cases where the dreamer can overtake the ruler. If the stars align perfectly, that is the name of the game. Star alignment. It is the dreamer's job to align the stars so they may rise above their station and seize power for themselves. A ruler's job, however, is to not simply laze about in complacency. That is the job of a fool looking to be dethroned. Any competent ruler will devote their time and resources to making sure that the stars don't align, that no dreamers will be able to prosper, that they remain on the throne. Is there a point to this, or... Listen well, I'm explaining the rules of the game to you as we speak. As you've seen, the star deck is made of 13 cards ranging from 1 star to 13 stars. And then we summon the Eternal Dragon and make a wish. 2 Eternal Dragons and make a wish, I mean. At the start of, well, nearly 2 dragons. At the start of each round, players are dealt 6 cards. The 13th card is placed face down to the side. Each round, one player acts as the ruler, the other is the dreamer. The winner of the previous round gets to choose which role they wish to be. Then, starting with the ruler, each player takes turns placing one of the cards in their hand in a line across the table. After 12 cards are placed, the 13th face down card is flipped and placed at the end of the line, and then the round ends. At the end of the round, there is a star alignment. The dreamer wins. If not, the ruler wins. So what is a star alignment? It's a set of 3 cards in a row where the difference between the first and second card equals the difference between the second and third. So then 1, 2, 3 would be a star alignment. 1 is added between each card. 13, 11, 9 would be a star alignment. 2 is subtracted between each card. I see the rules. 3, 7, 11 would be a star alignment because 4 is added between each card. You get the picture. Seems a little complicated. Trust me, when you're in the game, it'll be painstakingly obvious. There's a second aspect of the game to be aware of. Each player also gets 5 chips in each round. Also, fetch us 10 chips. The table you're at has chips in the drawers. Odin then opened some drawers and eventually found chips. He took out 5 white ones, which he gave me, and then kept 5 white ones. On your turn, you can place any amount of your chips on a card. Once chips are placed, they cannot be moved, and on your turn, you can put down as many chips as you have, and they must be on a single card per turn. A chip placed on a face-up card adds 1 to their value. So if there was a run of 2, 5, 6, the 2 chips were placed on the 6, it will be treated as 2, 5, 8. Huh. Winning a round scores you 1 point. Additionally, every chip you keep in your hand, that is every chip you don't place down, gives you an additional point if you win. If you want to truly succeed, you must win while being frugal with your chips. The winner of the gamble is the person who first reaches a total of 13 points. Do you understand these rules? Yeah, I think I do. They're a little weird, but I figure I'll get the hang of it. Good. In that case, because of this special case, I'll also add a final rule I sometimes introduce to keep things interesting. Interesting? Dude, this is my first time playing the game, and I need to break out the advanced rule set. This is the way to truly test your worth. Whenever somebody wins a round, they may make a simple change to the rules. What? How on earth does that work? Oh, I assume you wish to clarify what counts as simple, right? Very well. This is a serious match for you, so it makes sense you want to check such eventualities. A rule change must not reference either person's name or be obviously directed towards a single person. It must be a single sentence without any conjunctions that relates to the core rule set of the game already set out. Oh, and to prevent one side immediately capitalizing on a rule change by favouring the ruler or the dreamer, and then give themselves that role, the rule will only go into effect after the following round. Oh, what a headache. I find the rule quite poetic. The winner in life write the rules. This is just the most literalized version of that truth. Well, I can't say I love it, but I'm pretty sure I don't get a say in this. You're a quick learner. Alright, well, while we're ironing things out, I want to settle on the stakes of this game. Your reward, right? That suitcase of yours is filled with a cash equivalent of 500 white chips, correct? Right. Then I bet 1500. What? I was slightly taken aback by this figure. 1500 white chips? It was such a ludicrous amount, I was speechless. Odin, sir, I know I have some wealth to my name, but I can't bet that high. You're tripling what I wanted to bet with. Indeed I am. These days I am numb to much in the world. It takes such extreme stakes to make me truly excited to play. 1500 white chips. I shan't play for a penny lower. Oh, and I won't be degrading myself by putting more at stake than you. It's like I need to cough up another 1000 white chips. Yeah, not happening, man. Really wasting my time. Saying you want to bet against me, then make me bet way more than I can afford? Not cool. Oh, you can afford this gamble. No, I can't. What do you think the value of a human finger is? Let's say the pinky. If you ask me, I put the value at, say, 500 white chips. What do you know? You have 2 pinkies right there. What? The fuck are you saying? I'm saying you bet the contents of the suitcase, and for every 500 white chips worth of cash you're short, I get to make a clean cut with a knife. My first 2 cuts will be your left and right pinky. What sort of psychopath are you? What value do you get out of cutting my fingers? It's not what I gain, it's what you lose that gives it value. I'm offering up a life-changing amount of money, Locke. If I offered to pay someone 500 white chips worth of cash to cut off their pinky, many men would make that trade. So then how's this any different? If you claim victory and defeat me, 1,500 white chips worth of cash will be deposited within any bank account of your choice within a minute. Also, he will insure it. So then, do you accept? Betting my fingers. That's fucking insane. There's no way I could... But 1,500 white chips worth of cash... With that amount, not just the buck campaign, the options I'd have. I was already in this deep. All I had to do was beat this old man at a simple game of cards. I was great at this. The game described was a psych game, and that was my specialty. I could beat Odin. I had to beat Odin. And worst comes to worst, I could always talk my way out of things. There was no way I'd actually lose my fingers, not with how I'd set things up. The person I was facing, he was suggesting serious body mutilation just for fun. A bit of sport on a random night. This man was a monster. But, alright, I accept these terms. Odin began to laugh so hard it transformed into a coughing fit by the end. Excellent! You truly are interesting, Locke. After all this build-up, you better not disappoint me. Locke's accepted the proposal, Ossa. The games can continue undeterred. So who's going to be ruler first? We haven't played a previous round. We could flip a coin, or rather a chip. Odin took one of his white chips and held it up. Call it mid-air, crown or not. Odin flipped his chip. No crown. Odin slapped the chip onto the table. Then he revealed it. Ah, it begins. The gamble has only started, and already my ruler's luck is flowing in my blood. It's a single coin flip, man. Don't get over dramatic. I shall be the ruler. Ruler deals. Odin reached over and grabbed the small deck. We're gonna have a train of thought thing in this one, that's for sure. I don't understand the rules at all. How's the ruler gonna make points? They're not trying to make the stars align. With so few cards, it was easier than normal to try something, so I kept a close eye on Odin's movements. It was all legit though, and by the time he dealt my 6 cards, I didn't see any moves. Right, what was I working with? A 2, a 6, an 8, a 10, 11, and a 13. Pretty high scoring hand, this one. I suppose that was good. Using reverse logic, I could deduce Odin had a 1, a 3, a 4, a 5, a 7, a 9, and a 12. Except he was missing one of those. A little bit of randomness kept me from being able to completely strategize. As Dreamer, I had to create a string of equal distance. However, at least one of the cards used would be one that Odin provided. The simplest way for him to block off my opportunities would be to play smaller cards when I wanted to make a positive set, and larger ones when I was trying to make a negative one. In that case, Odin being limited to the lower value cards was probably good for me. Before I could think much more on this, Odin placed his first card. A 5. Odin was never going to deal a set to me. In that case, I placed an 11. By going this high, I was forcing him to play something extremely low. Else I could make a negative string by playing a 6, and modifying the numbers later on with chips. In response to my card, he put down a 3. I cut it with an 8. I didn't want to use my 2 or my 6. Looking at what he had, those were likely to be useful in building a set. Then Odin did something that surprised me. He placed down a 9. He must have known that I have a 10, or at least thought it was quite likely. Okay. Well, still, I had to make the more obvious move. I placed down a 10. Does that mean we win? He said we need to get 3 in a row. Oh, but there's chips, right? We can put chips on it. So we got 8, 9, 10, right? That's a thing. Odin just smirked and placed down a 4. Okay. 5, 11, 3, 8, 9, 10, 4. The current line. If things stayed the course, I had a run in 8, 9, 10. He was probably going to use the chips to mess that up, however. He's just holding off, trying to make a move at the last possible minute. Well, I just have to think one step ahead. I placed down a 6. This should force Odin's hand. As expected, he played a 1 in response. However, to my surprise, he placed a single chip on 8. 5, 11, 3, 9, 9, 10, 4, 6, 1. At this point, I had 2 chances to place a chip. He only had 1. I had a 2 and a 13 left. A 7 and a 12 would be played after this. If I placed 4 chips on 4, I could make 10, 8, 6. To avoid that, he was likely going to fuck 10 up with his chip. If he made 10 into 14, there was nothing I could do to alter the 8 plus 1, 9, 10 set into aligned stars. But this late in the game, I was learning a fatal but important lesson about aligned stars. It's important to keep in mind the odd, even state of things. If the first digit in a set is odd and the last is even or vice versa, it's impossible to line them up with the second digit. I could try to set up a line where I could put chips on 3 to make something like... Fuck, I couldn't quite manage to make anything like that because of the chip on 8. God damn it. This bastard was a lot more clever than he let on, huh? I think he lets on that he's clever. He's arrogant to a fault. I keep running permutations of the next few moves, but whatever chips I place down this turn, there was something that Odin could do next turn that would prevent me from getting a set in a single turn. However, I saw a single out. If he had a 7 in his hand, he had to place it. So then I placed my 2 confidently and passed the turn. If he had a 7, this was check and mate. Typical weakness. Excuse me? When you see a chance for surefire victory, you leap and pray for it. It should be obvious that I had a 7 in my hand. There's no way I would leave myself vulnerable like this. Shit. It's not like you're a god. You could have been focused on survival and not thought ahead that far enough. And now the underestimation rears its head. I am a ruler and a god. You should have kept looking for a line of play. Instead you prayed, and I answered those prayers with a resounding no. Cackling, Odin placed it at 12 down and placed a single chip on the 6. 5, 11, 3, 9, 9, 10, 4, 7, 1, 2, 12. I had to play a 13, and the final card would be a 7. Shit, there was nothing. Being able to make the last chip placements. Seems like I should be afforded a lot of power in how the round was decided. And yet everywhere I looked, nothing lined up. Dejected, I placed down my 13. Very well, and let fate deal the final card. Odin reached over to the face down card and slid it closer and I flipped it over. Sure enough, the final card was a 7. Let's see. 5, 11, 3, 9, 9, 10, 4, 7, 1, 2, 12, 13, 7. Yeah, I can't see much with that. Can you see any aligned stars? No. No, I don't. I get it, no need to rub it in. Odin cackled to himself. This means as the winner I get 1 point. And I keep 3 of my chips, which means my score is actually 4. Damn, that was a rough start. Just getting a feel for things. This is more complicated than it looks. A child can pick this up in a few minutes, huh? I'm gonna call BS on that. Trust me, I spoke the truth. Art gave a worthy showing at the age of 12. He lost, of course, but it was a notable effort. His 12-year-old son gave a noble effort? Okay then. You made a critical mistake, Locke. Yeah, I know, I should have thought more moves ahead. Odin shook his head. Your hope of a victory blinded you. Because you wanted that sweet alignment of 147, you lost sight of the larger picture. I was able to foil your plans with a single chip on the next turn. Had you looked at the big picture, you could have forced my hand, making me spend all my chips. I'd have a quarter of the points I currently possess. Well, I don't really care how many points you have right now. I intend for this to be the last time you win any at all. Such a mouthful this one. As you'll soon find, Locke, winning with any spare chips is a rarity. Every point is precious. Allowing me to steal 3 away like this is a mistake you'll soon come to regret. Yeah, don't you have some rule change to implement or something? Indeed. As the winner I decree, the ruler shall choose which cards the dreamer is dealt. So I say, so it shall be done. Well, that's insanely powerful. Enough to pretty much guarantee games won. With this rule change, being the ruler basically gets you the round. And winning a round lets you choose to be the ruler in the next one. So thinking about it, this next round would decide the fate of the game. Okay, let's just go to the next round. Let me guess, you want to be ruler again? I suspect if I don't give you the chance now, you'll never see it again. Therefore I shall let you wear the mantle of ruler for the coming round. Works for me. That means I deal, right? Indeed. I gave a solemn nod, picked up the cards and began to shuffle them. I had to fight some pretty strong instincts not to try forcing anything. Ossa was still watching this, and if he caught anything, the bones in my hand would likely be forfeit. I deal Odin 6, myself 6, and place a dud in the center of the table. What was I working with? 2, 3, 5, 10, 12, 13. Okay, this was a varied hand. Odin had some combination of 1, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 11. I learned a couple of things from the last game. The more extreme a card, the more critical it would be. On the other hand, extremely high or low value cards were pretty much impossible to be used as the middle card in a set, so placing them down, they can act as a wall. However, they give the opponent a lot of flexibility to put an ideal middle card to try and force a later set. I decided to take a trick from Odin's book and start in the middle. I placed down a 5. Without missing a beat, Odin placed down a 1. I can afford to go as low as 10 on this one, when faced with the extreme of 1. I was expecting something like an 8 or a 7, but to my surprise, Odin went the other way and placed down an 11. Well, fuck me, I guess. Maybe these extreme cards weren't so critical. After all, Odin just played either end of his hypothetical hand. I could try and get cheeky and play a 12 or 11 and hope to fuck around with chips in the late game, but I learned late last game that even though I fucked up, the Dreamer really has got its power from being able to place the last chip. I didn't feel confident enough in my star alignment skills to properly handle a tricky endgame. Instead I went for a 3. Odin responded with a 6. Okay, so the current line was 5, 1, 10, 11, 3, 6. I still had a 2, 12 and 13. Meanwhile, Odin might have a 4, 7, 8 or a 9. Placing down a 12 or a 13 was like asking for trouble. I'd stalled long enough. I finally placed down my 2, which acted as something of a trump card. Odin responded with an 8. This is crunch time. 5, 1, 10, 11, 3, 6, 2, 8. Shit, Odin could place a 5 on 2 to make 6, 7, 8. Fuck, what if he still had a 9? If that was the case, he could threaten me by placing it down between my 12 and 13. Last turn he could put a 5 on 9 to make it 14. Alternatively, if I place my 13 first, he could just make the 9 into an 11 with far less effort. That loses, that loses. Shit, what the hell? It's like the same situation as last time, but this time, instead of having no way to win, I felt like there was no way I could prevent myself from losing. I tried to keep a poker face, but like a shark, Odin could smell my fear. Say, Locke! What? I wonder, does that suitcase of yours really contain 500 white chips worth of cash? Fuck. The hell are you trying to imply? Oh, nothing. Just that my son doesn't always properly vet things. But I do. I've been scammed one too many times to ever not thoroughly inspect my winnings. What were the rules again? Oh yes, for every 100 chips short you were, I get a free cut with the knife. The first 2 would be the pinkies, but you know, I never specified where a hypothetical third cut would go. Odin reverted to his typical deranged cackling. Focus, he's just trying to throw your game. He was never going to get the chance to check that suitcase. Actually, the bet specified that for every 500 chips I was short, you'd get a cut. That means if I have the cash equivalent to even a single white chip in the suitcase, then my debt of 1500 would be reduced by 1. 1499 is only short 2 installments of 500 chips, and then an additional 499. Oh, it appears you're right. So then if you even have a chip over 500, I'll only get to collect a single pinky? Isn't that a shame? Let's hope you didn't think to pack any extra in there. I played a 13 and placed a single chip on 6. Just had to pray Odin didn't have the 9. Of course, like clockwork, Odin placed down the 9. And no other chips. Hold on a second. How many chips can I get out of this round? Hold on, can I win this round at all? Well, to figure that out, I need to make sure I pay attention to the blue text, because I keep missing it. To figure that out, I need to figure out how many I need to spend. Is there a way that Odin can create a star alignment? There's already an issue I need to fix. Currently he hasn't, but the round's not over. I should start by fixing the 10, 11, 3 situation. So why don't we define his possible moves? Oh shit, I fucking didn't pay attention to the blue thing again. If he places chips on... we both only have 1 more card. Hold on a minute, how can you make an alignment with this? He only has 1 turn left. Sorry, I wasn't paying attention again. Sorry, I keep doing that. The 2, 8, 13 situation. Can you do anything with that? What's that? 5. Yeah, you can do that. So add 1 chip to the 2 and bam, 5, 5. Is there a 2, 8, 13? Where's that? 2, 8, 13. Right, okay, that works. If he just places a single chip on the 13, we've got a 2, 8, 14 alignment. Yeah, all that. We both only have 1 more card. That's no good, that's no good at all. He has 1 turn left. It's important I prevent him from winning next turn. He can alter 0 card values from now until the round's end. 0? He can alter 1 card value. He can alter 2 card values. Can't he alter as many as he wants? Up to like 5 chips worth? Well, he can alter 2, right? That's what we could do. Was it 2? On the other hand, I want to keep as many chips to myself as possible. 1 card next turn. The other card, he's likely prepared to do whatever it takes to win, so I should respond in turn. What can he alter the other card? Okay, I messed that one up as well. Well, I think we've lost all our chips already. On the other hand, I want to keep... Yeah. He's likely prepared to do whatever it takes to win. But that little bit of power is still a huge threat. I don't need to spend any chips to guarantee the win. He needs to place the last chips. He gets to place the last chip. He does get to place the last chip. I mean, so he's already got like, what is this? Why do you make this a 7? Or did we make that? We made that a 7. So he can do, he has to modify this one or this one to make that a set. So we have to modify one of them as well to ruin it. But he can do 2, can't he? So we have to spend 2 chips, right? But we just said before that he can only do 1. So I guess that means we only have to do 1 chip. Yeah, I can totally defeat Odin by spending 1 chip, probably. If there were 2 opportunities to make an alignment, he could choose either. But then, why would I get the sinking feeling that I've forgotten something? Okay. Never mind, it must be 2 then. Doesn't matter, we've already lost everything. Who cares? Place 2 chips on the 13 and we're unable to make a star alignment. If there are 2 opportunities to make an alignment, he can choose either. I haven't spent any chips yet, so I'd be left with 3 chips in that case. You can only defend 1 this turn. Obviously making out with 5 chips would have been ideal. There is another potential alignment at 5-1-10. How does that work? 5-1-10? That's -4 and then +9. How the fuck is that? No, that's not a potential at all. 11-3-7? That doesn't make sense either. 15-9-12. That doesn't make sense either, does it? There isn't at the end. There isn't. But that was a pipe dream. One so incredibly unlikely to happen, Odin can only attempt 1 alignment, and I can block it. And all in all, 3 chips in a round win is more than enough to turn the tides to my side, which means this round is mine. Oh, no chips. Fuck you, game. Yeah, no. There wasn't a single way you could align 3 cards in a row with a single turn of placing chips. I fucking knew it. I knew that I was better at this game. I felt like I'd covered all my bases, but I was worried about some unknown fear, some unknown move he'd make with his second to last turn. But no, Odin was all bluster, not bite. His first victory was just because it was easier to play as the ruler. And now I'd be ruler for the rest of the game. In fact, I'd been needing a tidy 2 extra points with 2 chips completely unused. Nice try, Odin. His scare tactics wouldn't work on me. I placed down my 12 card confidently, then placed 2 chips atop the 13. Odin then just flashed me a toothy grin. You asshole. He placed his final card on the table. A 7. And he placed a single chip on it. Huh? Well, time to flip Fate's final card. Odin reached over to the face down card and revealed a 4. So then let us see. 5, 1, 10, 11, 3, 7, 2, 8, 15, 9, 12, 4. Oh shit. 12, 8, 4. Those are 4s. He's got it. The stars have aligned. 12 minus 4 is 8. Minus 4 is 4. My face instantly flushed. I completely missed that possibility. What the hell? Could I have prevented this? Now, even if I placed all my remaining chips on 12, you would have just had 2 more chips on 8 to make it 10, and I'd still be boned. What the fuck? What the fuck? Oh, and as I have 4 leftover points, that brings my score to 9. Why, a mere 4 points away from victory. Lucky me. No, fuck this. This is obviously bullshit. I spread out the cards and began squinting. This goddamn constellation thing, there must be some marking on it or something. I piled them up and took the cards to the movies. Shit, nothing. How are you cheating? Ah, you're starting to unravel. The show is truly beginning. Cut the shit, what are you doing? Easy, Lock. He's cheating. Fuck this, there's no way you can make the moves you've made unless you're cheating. And how do you figure that? The last round, at first glance, from my perspective, it looks like a clever plan. However, the only way you can strategize around this is if you knew the last card would be a 4. But until the very end, that card could have been in my hand. Now, I ruled out that possibility when he placed down the 2. What are you talking about? Simply put, there's a world of difference between the 2 of us. I command a nationally powerful company, and you spend your time drinking in an underground casino. I thought there might be more to you, but no, you don't have what it takes. Instead, I'll enjoy watching you squirm as I slowly corner you. I felt physically nauseous. I knew this might be hard, but what the fuck was I up against? From this round out, the ruler would get to pick the cards. Odin would choose to be ruler. It was over. No, it was over when I said it was. Nervously, I pushed down on my belt. I sat up straight. Odin wasn't going to get a chance to open the suitcase or cut off my fingers off. He said that when I began this, and I said it was because it was true. Well then, let us introduce a new rule. As the winner I decree, by default, winning as the ruler scores 3 points. So I say, so it shall be done. Odin's intent with this was painfully obvious. He'd win this round because he dealt the cards, and win a point. Then he'd be the ruler again, win that round, win another 3 points, He'd have 13 points and I'd be dead in the water. Let me guess, you want to be ruler now? I was merciful once, lol. I never expect such courtesy twice. Fine, just get to dealing. Odin happily complied with his order. However, instead of shuffling, he spread out the cards and gleefully looked over them. Is the symbolism in this a bit too on the nose? Well, it's not like this game has been one for subtle metaphors. Before I could question what that meant, Odin passed me my cards and I got to the point. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I got all the lowest cards and you got all the highest ones. Different statures and such. Arrogant piece of shit. Not only was this meant as an insult, it actually trapped me pretty badly in terms of the game. Chips were useful to manipulate the cards to make sets, but when the base cards are high, low, high, or low, high, low, it's pretty difficult to straighten them out into anything sensible. Trying to get an alignment with the cards fluctuating from high to low seemed nigh impossible. However, I wasn't exactly content with just throwing in the towel for the round just yet. I had 5 chips to work with, and the last say. My higher cards, like the 5 and the 6, could easily jump up the values of 10 or 11, which could complete sets if Odin wasn't careful. And there was another spark of hope I had based on what Odin had just said. Odin suddenly began the game with a thunderous motion. He slammed an 8 down on the table. In theory, this is the perfect opportunity for me. I should push with my 6, maybe my 5, and force him to using his big guns like a 13 or a 12. But that would be the standard play. That would be the trap. Odin spoke about things being metaphoric. Could it be that in a haphazard moment of tripping his own ego, Odin had carelessly given me the bottom 6 cards and himself the top 6? It would be amusing to him, and a decent enough strategy, but if he did, he would have opened himself up in a way he might not expect, because that would mean a 7 would be the final card placed. A 7 was low enough that if I combined it by placing a 6 and some chips, it could be the low end of a set. Something like 11, 9, 7. In that case, I couldn't waste my 6 on the trap. This 8 threatened. Instead, I responded with a strong 1. And then for the first time I heard something I hadn't expected from Odin. I heard a sigh. Even until the end, you couldn't reach the truth. And then, very simply, he placed a 7. His earlier statement was a trap. If I played something even as moderate as a 4 or 5, he probably would have been too scared to play a 7. He put it down later, and it'd be exposed. Even easier to try and counter with a 6 plus chips. However, with this 1, he was able to put down his 8 and the 7 without any fear. The final hidden card was probably a 10. The final card Odin would play would be a 9. I have nothing to respond with. Even if I put down a 6 now, Odin would respond with a 13, and I'd lose the war of altering specific values with chips. It was done. I could maybe force Odin to use all his chips, but that was no longer a path to victory this round. Reluctantly, I placed down my 6. Odin then began looking through his cards. However, before anything else could happen, a casino dealer burst into the room. Such impudence, you're interrupting a very important time. This is the climax upon which the game turns. Ignoring this, the worker whispered something to Ossa. Ossa looked at the worker, back to us, and then sighed. Sorry, but the match is postponed. What? What? A flash of pure wrath covered Odin's face. You little shit. Who exactly do you think you're talking to? I'm very sorry, Mr. Deisma, but both of you have to leave right now. Wait, why? I'm making a comeback right now. Odin, who understood the game state, shot me a dirty look at this. The cops are going to be raiding Nahoi's nest any minute. Everybody needs to evacuate ASAP. My workers are busy disposing of evidence. The hell? What's this about? Why now? You think I know? The cops have probably suspected our operation for a long time. However, they let us operate in peace. You knew it was more trouble than it was worth to try and bust a place like this. So if they've decided they're busting in here, then there's a big reason for it. That's... Hold on, how do you even know about this upcoming bust? I have my ways. Anyways, it wouldn't look good for anyone found here when the cops arrive. Especially you, Mr. Deisma. So you're saying I have to flee this place running around like a little girl? Actually, there's a quicker way for you two. This is a VIP private gambling room. Sorry? Without answering, Ossa walked over to the corner of the room. He picked up a long, thin metal rod that I hadn't even noticed until this point. Then he began using it to poke the ceiling. With a bit of effort, he pushed away the tile on the ceiling, and down fell a wooden ladder. Secret escape hatch. Sick. I suppose that's preferable to fleeing on foot. Not much to it, just go up. Now if you'll excuse me, as you would imagine, I have a lot to deal with right now. Without another word, Ossa left the room, likely about to start putting on any number of fires that had just popped up for him. Well, he didn't need to tell me twice. I grabbed my metal suitcase and made my way over to the ladder. I figured it was best if I went up first, since there was likely to be another hatch at the top of our ascent. Could a man as old as Odin even climb a ladder? Yeah, this bright guy could probably do it. Upwards I climbed. As expected, there was a wooden hatch at the top of the ladder I had to give a solid push to open. At the top of the ladder, I found myself in a super dark, very cramped room. The only thing I could see was a single door. So obviously I grabbed the handle and pushed it open. All of a sudden I found myself in the middle of an empty alley, not far from Nahoi's nest. I looked back. Huh. A door that literally went nowhere. Well, it was probably locked from the other side, and if I saw it passing by, I likely wouldn't have given it a second thought. It only took a couple of moments for Odin to catch up to me. Yep, this guy was surviving on pure energy at this point. Some weird part of me respected that. Odin, meanwhile, looked none too happy, walking out into the alley. Utterly disrespectful. Totally and truly an insult. You won't see me showing up in that establishment again. I mean, it's not like it's their fault. Odin shot me a nasty look. Anyways, well, that sucks. No need to be a Karen about it, Odin. Unfortunately, it looks like we won't get to finish that game. And we have no way of knowing who would have won. So bets off. Odin was not letting that fly, which was frankly to be expected. No way of knowing? Boy, I had you on your knees. I would have taken but minutes to lop your head off. But you know, that's your interpretation of the facts. Interpretation? Anyone witnessing that game would have viewed it the same way. Even the dumbest of my sons would assess the situation as such. Gambling's a complicated beast. Anything can happen. Impudence. If you truly believe then, let us resume the bet post-haste. I wish I could. Unfortunately, our place has been lost. Who had what cards? Which had been placed? I remember all of that. So do I. But who's to say our memories coincide? Without proof, such memories would be a he said, she said situation. I don't even accurately recall quite what the score between the two of us was. Ossa bore witness, he could testify to such things. Odin, my good sir, I'm afraid you overestimate Ossa. He might have been watching, but I doubt he was paying that much attention to our gamble. If he remembers many details, I'd be surprised, especially after dealing with the police, whatever comes of that. And there's the thing. The bet was made in Nahoi's nest, but it remains unclear if the nest will even remain by the end of the night. Who's to say how long it will take to reopen after this? Basically, there's no real way we can fairly continue with and enforce the bet. So it has to be called off, permanently. Odin's brows furrowed. Anger turned to skepticism and suspicion. It was you who called the police, wasn't it? It was your attempt to weasel your way out of things. What? Dude, what are you talking about? You knew you couldn't win, so your only way to escape my snare was to burn down the whole building. Okay, after the game I thought you still had some wits about you at your age, but I might have been mistaken. The two of us were in the same room the whole time, right? How exactly could I have called the police? You yourself? No, you didn't call the police. That simply means you had an accomplice who did the deed for you. An accomplice? What, you think I just have somebody manning the phones 24/7? Ready to make crank calls to the cops at a moment's notice? Oh, I didn't even know that I was going to be gambling with you until earlier tonight. Before then, as you so accurately deduced, I planned to scam your son. Why would I have a friend ready to call the police? And how would they know to? I mean, if I was winning and the police showed up, that would be a major blow, don't you think? We were inside a private VIP room. One that needed keys to enter. Well, what do you think Ossa was in on it? He was the man on the inside? So then your explanation? Why, as to why the cops showed up? I don't know, man. Guess I lucked out. Slowly the anger present in Odin dissipated, and then he gave a slight smirk. Interesting. Interesting indeed. I was initially disappointed in myself that I'd become such a poor judge of character, but perhaps there is a glimmer of potential in you yet. Sir? I don't buy that hogwash about this being a happy coincidence for a moment. The only true luck that exists in this world is the type one makes for themselves. This is done by your hands, plain and simple. Understandable, respectable, unorthodox perhaps, but I never shield away from the unexpected path. Why, in my younger days, many called my methods crazy, and look upon what I've created. Odin chuckled to himself, clearly lost in the moment, and then instantly he sobered up once more. However, I'll leave you with a warning, young man. Go ahead. I've gotten as far as I have in life partly by my ability to gauge the measure of a man in an instant. This confrontation has given me more than I needed for you. I suspect that you wish to dominate the entire city of Panthea. That is the air of ambition you give off. You're not the first I've met with to have this ambition. Not the second either. And I have this to tell you. As you are, your best course of action is to give up. The how? Weren't you going on about a man's grasping their own destiny? Of course it is the most admirable thing one can strive for. The power to control one's fate. However, right now your ambitions overshadow your talents. You don't have it in you to face down Panthea. If the best you can manage is to flee from me. I'm an old man, Locke. Past my prime. There was a time, perhaps, when I was the best of the best. But that time has come and gone. Now I'm but the baseline you have to overcome if you wish to conquer Panthea. Besting me is a requirement I make to anybody I back. Anybody you back? You're a familiar character, Locke. I feel as though I have met you before. However, the past you defeated me. You could not. If you strive for power, all you will find is woe. With this last cryptic message, Odin turned away and began to walk down the alley. The hell? In a fit of uncharacteristic irritation, I shouted out at him, "Oh yeah, what the hell do you know?" Odin paused, turned around, and said a few simple words. "Prove me wrong." And like that, he continued his exit. Annoyed, I turned around and left in the opposite direction. He was right, of course. My belt was custom built from an online niche tech site. When I pushed down on it, it pressed a button which gave an alert elsewhere. Back at his home, I had instructed Buck to have an alert nearby. If it went off, it was his job to place an anonymous call to the police informing them of a fake murder. The cops couldn't let that slide. The plan from the start was risky, even when conning Polly. It was a sensible backup plan if things went south, but I never thought I'd have to use it. Odin had beaten me. I tended to rely on surefire methods like tricks and cons and the like, but I've always thought at my core that I'll come out on top. And yet this old man had completely and thoroughly thrashed me at a game that should have been right up my alley. I'd escaped with my life, sure, but I walked away with a briefcase stuffed with nothing but lies. I didn't have the capital needed to fund Buck's campaign. I didn't have any other ideas on how to make that much in a short period of time. As I walked away, I simply felt aimless. Yes, silver key, finally. Well, that could have gone better, huh? Real swing and a whiff there from old Locke, huh? To be honest, after the shit he pulled at the last scene, I find it a little satisfying. Just a little. I agree, actually. A good old classic comeuppance. But I can't gloat too much. You can't really blame Locke for how things shook out. His attempt on Polly's fortune was blocked by completely unforeseeable circumstances. He had a good enough exit plan lined up from the start. Why not take a swing at the near impossible task? And going into a custom gamble against a genius like Odin, that's as near impossible as it gets. I mean, Locke should have known better than anyone, don't you think? Say what you will about the old man, Odin Deismer did not get to his position in life through dumb luck. Sin and sacrifice, sure, but skill as well. Though, that has led to some cockiness on his part, to put it lightly. He made a big stink about Locke's lack of intelligence at the end there. But it's not exactly like they were on equal playing fields, you know? Forewarned is forearmed. Let's say at the end of the scene, time rewound. Locke found himself at the start of the match against Odin with his memories intact. He now had lived experience. He was now familiar with the game. Would the outcome be the same? Would Locke still lose? Well, I actually know the answer to that question. Want to bet on it? Sure. Always up for a gamble, huh? Love it. Okay then, how are you betting? Locke would still lose. A cynic, huh? Well, it's a cynical world. And your bet then? Let's go with another 5. Okay then. You know, we as a society love to idealize intelligence. We have this idea that there are natural-born geniuses that can make their way out of any situation, as long as it's reasonably possible. And sure, talented individuals who can overcome situations that most would falter at certainly exist. You're speaking with one after all. But the way we conceptualize it is all wrong. The use case of the so-called geniuses come in the ability to make informed decisions in a split-second scenario. And to always be angled to keep them in favourable positions, out of bad ones. They can't hope to face down years of practice. In contrast to natural genius, the strength and potential of long-form practice is often downplayed in society, except by those who are acutely aware of what such practice can do. No natural genius could ever be able to hold a candle to an experienced chess player in a game of chess. A natural genius wouldn't find themselves having to play against a chess player in the first place. Similarly, Locke's mistake in the scene was not a particular blunder, it was underestimating just how much Odin had played star alignment. As it happens, Odin has played star alignment for many years against many different players. You'd have to play a couple dozen times for even standing a chance. I highly doubt Locke would be able to beat Odin after 5 attempts, much less 4, much less 3. Certainly not 2. Looks like he would. This feels cheap, a win like this. But I proposed the bet in the first place, didn't I? Only myself to blame. And we have a silver key, which means we can go back to one of our old routes. I believe Laverna's one is the only option for us at the moment. No, we can go back to this one as well. This one's closer to the end, so maybe we'll do Eris's one then? Seeing it's close to the end anyway. Anyway, we'll figure that out next time. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. Thanks for hanging out with me, and I'll see you in the next one.